So should the United States do away with the Electoral College? Yes or no? Text us, 12news.com, or tell us at 12news.com/bullhorn. And we've been here before, right? It's one of the most controversial parts of American democracy. So let's explain it to you. When we vote, we're actually voting for a group of electors in our state to cast ballots on our state's behalf. Now, those electors are usually party insiders who can be trusted to vote for their party's candidate. Over the years, they've been about 99% on voting for whoever the state decided won that election. Now, each state has the same number of electoral votes as it does members of Congress. Here in Arizona, we have 11. Nationwide, there's 538, which means you need a simple majority of 270 to win. But here's why some people don't like the system. It's rare, but possible for the winner of the popular vote to lose in the Electoral College, because remember, only those 538 Electoral College votes matter. In 2016, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump in the popular vote, but lost in the Electoral College. So is this the best way? And not just because it helps or hurts your particular candidate winning. Let us know what you think about this whole thing. And a lot of people weighing in this morning. This is a text we got from Tony. Yes, get rid of the Electoral College. It's not a democracy if the popular vote doesn't count. Michael says, no, only if you want California, New York, Florida, and Texas picking the president of the United States. That's true. Those would be the largest states in population. And Leah says, make every single vote count as it should. So again, the reasoning for the Electoral College is to give some of the smaller states the same, not the same representation, but an equal representation based on population. But obviously, a lot of people are upset because the popular vote doesn't always mean the person who wins. So continue to let us know. Right now, 67% of you are saying, yes, do away with it. Time to go, Rachel.